Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to another day of Kit Conspiracy. This is one of our official days to post, and I know I keep saying that, and I'm going to quit saying it. Just saying that we post 3 times a week, usually Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, and then a kit share on Wednesday. If you're not sure what Kit Conspiracy is, MK and I have kitted up the same exact products, and we are using the same kit for 1 week from Wednesday to Tuesday, and then we start a new kit on Wednesday and use it from Wednesday to Tuesday. And we're doing that all month long for the month of November. This is, I don't even know how many times we've done this. Been doing it for a couple of years now, and we have a lot of fun with it. It is actually when I get probably my most photos scrapbooked, because I tend to choose an event that I can scrapbook for the entire week. So it's usually a larger amount of photos that go all together throughout the week rather than a few one-off photos here and there. And so this is a great way for me to work through a lot of my old photos, because those are more event-based than necessarily small moment-based. I don't have a lot of little small memories of every day back then, of course, but I do have a lot of events that I want to capture the entire thing. Now I have some of that from current event stuff that's going on, but my kids are grown up now, so I don't have as many. So anyway, these are 2007 photos, and I am so happy to be working on them. I have been working on these ones all week long, and I'm just going to finish them out throughout the rest of the week and hopefully get them all done. So I am using more of my B-sides, you guys. I am really a B-side scrapper for the most part, but I do love the A-sides. I just feel like the B-sides are where it is at for a double page for sure, because I felt like if I were to rip it into the B-side, which usually has like, well, this one actually probably wouldn't be a big deal, but some of them have like a scene on them. I felt like I would be ripping the scene in half, and I don't know. It just didn't seem to work as well for me. So today, this is what works, because I am doing a double page layout, as you can see here. I have about 8 full-size photos that are going to go on these 2 double pages. They were full 4x6. I was able to cut down a couple of them into some smaller sizes. I try to keep them all the same height when I'm doing a double page like this, so that I can kind of span between the 2 pages. Now, not all of my double pages are like that, but when I'm doing it so that they span across, I tend to try and keep them the same height. But I am varying the width because I had a lot of excess in at least one of those photos, that far right, upper right hand corner. I really didn't need all of the excess that was in it. I just really needed the central portion of the photo. So I cut both of the edges off, and I'm going to go ahead and use it that way. So these photos were another event, or another challenge that they had on this Survivor weekend. In case you're wondering about that, it was my friend's son's birthday, and it was a Survivor weekend, girls versus boys, and this was a shelter building contest. So they were given PVC, and each team was allowed to bring a certain number of items, and they got to pick what they wanted to choose and kind of figure out what would benefit them the most. The girls brought rope so that they could do some lashing if they needed to, or they could tie things together. Actually, the rope was not considered one of their items. They brought kindling that was wrapped in newspaper that was bundled together with rope, and that's how they brought it as one item. So it's kind of like 3 in 1. And that's what they used, but the boys brought a roll of duct tape. So the boys definitely dominated on this one, because they were so much faster at setting up their shelter, because they were able to duct tape all of their corners together. which totally worked. And in a couple of the photos, my son and the sister of one of the other boys were doing some judging. So we've got some photos of them doing the judging as well. And I definitely wanted to capture that in there. It was a really fun weekend. The kids all had fun. And it was just fun to see how their minds worked on how they could put things together and really make the supplies that they brought work for them. So that was kind of cool. Okay, so I am taking but I'm taking several of these postage stamp washi tapes, and I am lining them up along this paper. Now, I was being very cautious to keep them so that they were straight, and I thought I was going to fussy cut around them, and then at the last minute I decided I'm just going to use my trimmer and cut across them and rough up the edges with my awesome distress tool from MK Shop. Some assemblage required. It is an awesome tool and I love it. And so I decided just to do that instead. And I realized I cut off a lot of the postage stamp, but that's okay. I really liked this for a kind of like a border strip. And so that's what I'm using it as. I liked all of the elements on it. In fact, I kind of moved a couple of those pieces of washi tape where I had the horizontal ones a little lower than the vertical. So at first I kind of wanted it to have kind of like a jagged stair step kind of a look to it. But when I decided to cut it straight, I just moved them so they were all kind of lined up and I could just cut across them and it would work out so that the entire area was covered. Now I didn't show you making two of these. I just showed you making one, but I made two of them and I'm deciding if they're going to go all the way across the page or if I'm going to weave them in and out of this film strip or what. I'm just kind of playing with it and trying to figure out exactly what I want to do. I am going to just let it sit there until I get my photos down while I kind of think about it and figure out where I'm going to put them. And the photo placement is going to make a difference as well because on the left-hand page, I have 3 photos stacked up. And so I'm not going to be able to go all the way across the page and have the entire strip show. It's going to be stuck underneath that photograph. So I'm kind of playing with the idea, do I want to tuck it under there? And make it look like it's tucked under, because I would definitely have to piece it together on the right hand page because it's not long enough. I could have done all the way across 12 inches, but I would be repeating the stamp images, and so I didn't go all the way across the 12 inches when I cut that strip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it long on the right hand side. I cut it kind of in half on the left hand side, and I really do like it so that they're not meeting up at the same width when they're stacked on top of each other. So these two that are stacked on top of each other on the left hand side are going to be kind of centered from the right hand side. Did that make sense? No, the right hand side is kind of centered against the two that are stacked up. Hopefully that made more sense. My goodness, my mind is working backwards today. Okay, now I have pulled out some of the pieces from the laser cut elements. I think I want to use that kind of bent wreathy looking piece that I have up at the top there. I'm kind of letting it live there while I work on this other layer. I'm going to use this mushroom paper that was cut out of the packaging, and I'm going to tuck it underneath my photos in the bottom right hand side, and I really like how it brings in some extra color. More of that a little bit of that yellowy color and that teal color. And now I am inking up my edges with some walnut stain. The only problem I have with inking up after I do some of the distressing with the distressing tool is then little bits of fiber get stuck on my ink tool, my ink applicator, and then it gets on my ink pad and I got to clean my ink pad off, and that is really annoying to me. I don't know if that annoys you guys, but it bugs me because then I end up with like little I don't want to say flakes, that's not the right word, but kind of like flakes of inked fiber that falls off of my inking tool. So I do have a love-hate relationship with that. I love how it looks. I hate doing it. There's not a whole lot that I really don't like in scrapbooking, but that is one of my little pet peeves. I don't like when all of that fiber gets stuck on my ink pad or on my blending tool. But, it's the look I'm going for, so I guess I've got to do it. So I did layer up a film strip in that bottom right-hand corner, and then I'm going to bring one to the upper left-hand corner. I'm going with a visual triangle across both pages so that it just frames the entire layout really nicely. I'm going to bring in this barren tree, to the bottom left-hand side. And I like the way that looks. Well, I thought, yeah, it's going on the left-hand side. I played with it on the right-hand side, but it didn't work over there for me. I am bringing in a couple of chipboard pieces too. The mushrooms, I believe, are a chipboard piece, and the wood round that says "Go outside and play," I believe, is also a chipboard piece. Now I'm bringing in some of the laser cut elements, trying to see if I'm going to use some of those. I really like the greenery. I really wish that there was a little bit more greenery in this portion of the collection. The pieces that we chose to include did not include a lot of greenery. So I do, you are allowed to bring, well, I am, you're allowed to do whatever you want in your book. But for this project and for the purposes of Kit Conspiracy, we are allowed to add scrap material or scrap papers, white and black paper, and neutral papers like craft cardstock and that kind of stuff. And then we're allowed to add our tools and embellishments from other places, but we're not allowed to grab a brand new package of embellishments from another collection and add them. Really, it's really just leftover bits and pieces we're trying to use up. That's at least the idea of it. Now, of course, if you need to add something in, go for it. It's your layout, do what you want. But that is kind of the spirit behind this, is to kind of use up, at least that's how it started. It really started out with MK and I having some matching things in our collections and saying, hey, we should kit them up and see how we use them differently. That's how it all started, really. And it was all old stuff, stuff that was 8 years old or more. But now we kind of ran out of that kind of stuff that was really old, so we are using newer stuff. But we're allowed to bring in some other things from our stash, and so bringing in punches and dies and being able to cut some more foliage to add to my layout will work. As I use up the stuff that already comes with this collection. So that was a really long explanation to say that I could add stuff that I punch or die cut. Okay, now there are a few bits of this little white flower left. I think there were 2 of them. I used one on the layout that I did on Friday for Mixed Media Mayhem, and now I'm using the other one on this particular layout. I really like how soft these pieces are. And now I'm going to bring in more of that mushroom paper that was on the bottom right. These are, again, pieces, I think one was a piece of the packaging and one was actually in the embellishment kit, if I remember correctly. And I'm liking how those are looking. This little wooden wheelbarrow was in the laser cut elements. I'm going to use that as well. There's nothing to do with a wheelbarrow on my layout, but that's totally okay. I really like the way that it looks, and I think it's super cute. And it brings in more of that brown wood look to this bottom right hand cluster, since I have that brown wreath up at the top, and then I've got that tree that has no leaves on it on the bottom left. I thought this was a nice way to balance out those browns, and so I'm liking how that looks. Using liquid glue to adhere all of this down. Some of these pieces are so fine, it's really hard to use anything other than a liquid glue, like the little sprigs and branches, and then the wheel on the wheelbarrow. Those are all so narrow. liquid glue is really the best option. Now I do have my papers kind of layered up on top of each other in case you're wondering why it looks like a funky size. That is mostly because I was running out of room on my desk. My desk is not big, in case you were not aware. It's only like 27 inches across, you guys. So it's a tiny desk. It works well, but in this case, I didn't have any organizer to put all of my stuff in. I do decide to order a little bit of an organizer to put my ephemera bits in that I can stack up on my desk instead of having so much up at the top of my workspace and to the right of my workspace. Having stuff on the right hand side really does limit me, and that is really a little bit difficult, so, and a little bit frustrating. So next week you'll see that I have a little organizer. So I decided that piece that says curious, I decided not to use it. I kind of left it in that bottom right hand corner to think about whether I wanted to use it, but it didn't really go with anything that I have going on here. I couldn't really come up with a great title for it using the word curious, and so I decided to omit it. And I add this little banner piece at the top that says, leave the road behind, take the trails. And I really like that. I thought that was cute. And I don't really have a lot of big titles on any of my layouts this week. I'm just going with some of the smaller wordy elements as my titles. And I think that's okay. I don't need a huge title to tell me what this is. If you read the journaling, you're going to know what it's about. And I think all of these wordy bits do it for me. They are all from the same event. So, I didn't feel like I needed a title on every single page. So I think that's going to work out okay. And everything is about the outdoors, camping. I guess I could have put Survivor on it, but I did not. But it is written in some of the journaling, so I'm not too worried about it. I think it's all going to be fine. Okay, layering up my little leaves there. I really like the way that they hang down on that circular, I don't even know, vine, I guess. It makes it look more like a wreath, and I like that about it. So I am adding a little journaling spot. I'm just deciding if I want it on the left page or the right page. And I think it's going to go on the right. And so that's going to give me a little bit of extra room to write. I do have some room up inside that wreath area to write, because I did back that with a paper. I felt like the mushroom paper and the green was too dark, and the mushroom paper was too busy to be inside that circular piece. And so that's why I went ahead and backed it and kind of made it so that it stands out just a little bit better. Playing around with these mushrooms, I added a little word strip in that turquoisey teal color, or it's really more turquoise. And so I added a mushroom to the opposite side to bring that color in. And you can definitely see those colors in that background paper that I brought into the upper left-hand side. Now I'm adding a tab, and I'm using my stapler to staple that on. I could have used glue and that would have worked, but I like the added texture of the staples, and I will be using it on other layouts as well. That is it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and this layout. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to leave those down below. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe and hit the like button if you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to go check out what MK has on her channel today for her Kit Conspiracy video, and join the group so you can get more inspiration. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.